What's up everybody, welcome back to another Dazzle video. Today we are going to go over another gameplay analysis, but we are going to focus on teamfights. Teamfighting is one of Dazzle's greatest strengths, and he can have a big impact in any game. We are going to go over understanding your role as a Dazzle in each game, item choices, camera position, synergy heroes, your ideal shallow grave targets, and the importance of constantly changing your positioning based on the information that the enemies have. The first team fight we're going to look at is 23 minutes into the game. It's our first kind of big 4v4, 5v5 clash. When you get into the draft, you want to try and envision yourself in this exact scenario where you guys are team fighting in a big open space like this. If we look at our lineup, we have Winter Wyvern as a support. We have our position 1 PL. We have a position 3 Primal Beast. We have our mid AA. We have a position 5 IO on the enemy team, position 1 Timber, a position 4 Nyx, a position 3 Darkseer, and a mid Riki. Looking at the lineup, the first question I ask myself is, how am I going to die and who is going to kill me? I can die by Riki jumping on me, Nyx could sneak up on behind me, and Io can relocate behind me. This means a couple things. I will need to stay out of vision before and during the team fight for as long as possible. If I give up my position, I should expect someone to come find me at that location, especially Riki. I have to make sure that I don't show in a lot of creep waves, and I can't reveal my position in teamfights until Riki and Nyx show on the map. This also means I need to have detection at all times during this game. Speaking of items, let's talk about my early game item build. In this game, I go Bracer Brown Boots into Spirit Vessel. I want to shout out Almighty Munt 9397 who commented a Bracer build. He goes Brown Boots double Bracer into Urn as his opening. I really liked it. Before that, I never really was a Bracer buyer. I always bought either Nulls or Wraith Bands in this new patch with Poison Bloom. So now I'm really into Bracer. It gives you a lot of survivability in the laning stage. Urn and Spirit Vessel both give you mana regen, so that is also a nice aspect of that build. But this game, Spirit Vessel was very important because of the IO Timber combo. As you can see, I have queued up Ag Shard. So in this game, Ag Shard is very important. The reason is we have a enemy Darkseer. Having a Ag Shard on Dazzle really counters a lot of what Darkseer does in terms of damage. Of course, he does a ton of magic damage with his Ion Shell already, but the illusions that he creates with his wall and his punch are completely negated with my Shard. So I make sure that I prioritize that. A lot of my item choices are going to be geared toward negating their strengths on the enemy team. And then my positioning is going to be geared toward keeping my teammates alive. I want to stand around 800 units away from my nearest ally. And this is because Shadow Wave's cast range is 800 at all levels. Poison Touch has a cast range of 800 at max level. And this is also a reason why I like to max Poison Touch first, is so I can cast all my spells standing from a safe distance. And Shallow Grave is 700 at level 1 and it goes to 800 at level 2. The reason I don't put 2 points in my Shallow Grave in the early game is because I feel like I can react quick enough to heal and then walk forward and land the Shallow Grave. If there was an enemy lineup that was so burst heavy that I didn't feel like I could react fast enough, I would put 2 points in my Shallow Grave before taking the 4th point in my Shadow Wave. In terms of positioning in this game, I need to stay away from a lot of AoE stuff. So I have Timber Chain and Chakra. I have a Nyx stun that is kind of an AoE in a line. We have Darkseer Vacuum into Wall, and we have Riki's Smokescreen. So all of that means I need to keep my team in between me and the opponents. I don't want to be one-on-one standing around with the Riki, the Darkseer, a Nyx, or a Timber. The next thing after positioning is we take a look at our priorities. Who in the team fight do we really want to save? The first category in these earlier team fights is taking a look at who has big ults and who is able to protect themselves. Primal Beast is very tanky in general. He has an escape with Onslaught. PL has his own escape with Doppelganger, and he can Phantom Rush, maybe Phantom Rush away. He's also generally just kind of hard to figure out where he is because he has so many illusions. AA this game has a Hurricane Pike, and he's our core, so we're assuming that he's going to build some sort of item that keeps him alive. The only person that we really want to keep an eye on right away is our Winter Wyvern. She does have a Force Staff, however, she is the weakest out of all the heroes, so I want to be ready to grave our Winter Wyvern if she hasn't cast Winter's Curse. If she's cast Winter's Curse already, she goes much lower on the priority totem pole. Then I have to make sure that these three are alive, and probably I would start with AA if she had already cast her Hurricane Pike, because these two guys both have survivability skills. We're going to do it a little bit in slow-mo. This is half speed. I also want to point out my camera position. It's very important that you have one eye on your hero, one eye on the main team fight. This is because just in case you have someone jump on you, you can react quick enough, because if Nyx is behind me, for instance, in these trees, I'm really going to have to react quickly. And if my camera's over here, I'm not really going to be able to see it. Either I can see both of us, or I jump back and forth, and you'll see my camera kind of move back and forth between my hero and where the fight is actually taking place. So we get the grave off just in time, and I guarantee you, so that was in half speed, I guarantee you I would have missed that grave if I didn't have that thought in my head of I'm probably going to need to save Winter Wyvern. Because we saved Winter, we got a beautiful 3-man curse, and I turn it with a Poison Touch into a Shadow Wave, not Shallow Grave. And we end up winning the team fight. So now we're going to play it in normal speed. The next team fight we're going to look at is just a good representation of the synergy between Winter Wyvern and Dazzle. Before the game starts, you also want to try and theory craft which of your allies' skills is really good paired with yourself. So in this game, we have two great examples. We have Winter Wyvern with the curse, which brings everyone together, and after Dazzle gets shard, you can hex everyone in that small radius. You also have PL, who has Doppelganger and a bunch of illusions that surround targets, and you can land really high damage heal bombs. Other similar heroes in the same category are heroes like Naga, Undying with his zombies, Wraith King, CK, Meepo, Broodmother with her spiderlings, and Chen with his creeps. Heroes like Winter Wyvern include this section right here. These are all heroes that have big team fight ults. If the enemy tries to burst them and you can save them before they get bursted, we can turn the fight with a big team fight ult and have a really big impact on the game. So in this case, Ricky is showing bottom. So I'm not really scared to show where I am on the map. Nyx does not have a blink, so he can't just be over here and teleport to me. He actually has to walk inside this tower range, which makes it a good safe place for me to start by casting a Poison Touch. If I didn't know where Ricky was, I would not have cast Poison Touch. If we didn't know where he was, there's a real possibility that he would be around here. He would jump on me, cast his smoke screen, and then kill me or Winter Wyvern before we could save each other. We get a great Winter's Curse. We get a great Ice Blast on top of it. And then we get a 4-man Hex on top of that. So just a perfect use of synergy. On top of that, I do my other job this game, which is to press my spirit vessel onto the timber so we can secure a kill. Now we are 36 minutes in. There are some games where no matter where you stand, you are still going to get hit by the enemy team. This would be games with heroes like AM, heroes like Night Stalker. These are heroes that if they're on the enemy team, it does not matter where you are on the map, they're going to find you, especially if there's like a Zeus or a Spectre with Ags on the enemy team. In this game, if I stand in the right spot, the enemy team cannot just jump on me no matter what. I don't have to buy another defensive item. I don't have to buy Ghost Scepter or Yules or an Eon Disc. I go for Blink. The reason I go for Blink is there are a lot of blinking type movements in this game. So we have Ricky with his Blink. We have Surge on Darkseer. We have Timber Chain on Timber. We have Tether on IO. And on our team, same thing. We have Trample on Primal. We have Phantom Rush and Doppelganger on PL. So I can save my heroes if they go too far, and I can run away from heroes or chase the enemy if I need to. One of my other main roles of this game is to provide true sight. In this game especially, you want to have sentries or dust at all times. What I'm sensing here is this should be a really big red flag. There is no reason why their position 5 should be near our position 1 this confidently. If Io was alone, he would run away immediately right now. This signals to me that the enemy team is right here. Like they're waiting right behind Io, or they're right in this fog of war area. So this signals to me that something is going to happen right now. I am putting a ward right here where I think the fight is going to take place. So this is kind of a preemptive ward. And I did not know this, but Ricky was right here. We get vision of Ricky. Now I need to back up because I've given up my position. So the enemy team knows I'm right here. So Nyx or the Darkseer is probably looking to jump in. Darkseer also has a blink this game. I forgot to mention that. This is a chance for me to get the hell out of that spot. Okay, so we're going to let this play in half speed again. And just like that, you'll notice that Darkseer ran right to the location where I was in the trees. But because I was able to move back before the enemies were showing, I'm not going to get hit by any of his spells. So it's really important during team fights to look ahead 5 to 10 seconds and make a guess on where the enemy team will be. You want to always have your allies in between you and the enemy. I always make it a habit to reposition myself after every spell cast. You'll see me back up all the way to the Tormentor because I wasn't exactly sure what was going on up here with Ricky. Fortunately, Primal and PL took care of Ricky, but it was kind of like an instinct of backing up just in case, because there is a possibility that Nyx came around from the right side and then came to kill me right away. What really helped that fight was the fact that I had a little spidey sense tingling that a team fight was about to break out, just because Io was not running away when PL was right in her face. And so me putting down this sentry ward was just me thinking they have some information that we don't know yet. So I just wanted to make sure to place a sentry. When you play against invisible heroes such as Nyx or Ricky, I use the sentry wards as almost like a safety zone. In this case, we've just finished a team fight. I'm a little less careful, so I'll walk out. But in any case, there is a possibility of Nyx jumping on me and just bursting me down. So I do want to be still careful. By the way, I also forgot to mention Nyx has a blink as well. So there are a ton of blinks this game, and sometimes a way to counter blinks is to buy your own blink. Now we're going to go into the last team fight that we'll go over for this game. So as the game goes on, you want to factor in who has BKB or who has a Lotus or who has a Lincoln Sphere. For example, in this game, if AA had a BKB, I would be much less worried about him dying to, let's say, a Nyx in the backline or just straight up to Ricky Smoke. But he doesn't have a BKB. Our PL has one Dispel, which is a Manta. Our Primal has BKB, but it's on cooldown, so I have to be careful. And our Winter Wyvern still has her Force Staff and her Glimmer Cape. So these are all things to consider during late game team fights. In terms of the other side, Timber has a BKB, Ricky has a Manta. So there's only one BKB we got to worry about. If someone had a Lotus, for example, that would make the game much more complicated. This is because if you poison touch a target with Lotus Orb and that target has a shard, it will reflect back with the Hex and potentially Hex your own teammates. Okay, so let's start this team fight and see how it goes. Again, one of the first things you do is provide vision for your team in some way. I also want to put down my sentry. As soon as I place down the vision, I need to back out and I need to find a position that puts my team in between me and the enemy. I've done a good job of positioning because I didn't get caught in the vacuum. I need to go through my checklist. Who is my priority to save? Winter Wyvern has not cast her ult yet, so I need to grave Winter Wyvern. Unfortunately, Ricky has his shard by now, so I can't grave him inside the smokescreen, but I'm just waiting for him to get outside the smokescreen and I'm going to cast Shallow Grave on him. I'm trusting that Primal Beast and PL have their own means of escape, so they are lower on the priority list. Let me slow it down. It never got to that point. Winter Wyvern Force-staffed out and there was no follow-up from the enemy team, so she was able to curse all the enemies, which is awesome. Now, my second job here is to kill all of Darkseer's illusions. Once I've cast my Poison Touch and my Shadow Wave, I need to find a new spot because Ricky knows where I am, Nyx knows where I am, Timber knows where I am. So I back up. There's another Darkseer illusion on the map now. I really do want to kill it. So I cast my Poison Touch on as many heroes as I could, and then I blinked away. Really, really important that I blink away there, because otherwise I was probably dead. Timber was right on top of me, Nyx was heading towards me, and Ricky had his eye on me. So all I do is back away until I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. This is still a little bit too close. If one of my teammates gets caught in a smokescreen, I will also be in that smokescreen. If one of my teammates gets caught in an impale, I will also be in that impale. I need to be back here by these stairs. I'm trying to find a spot where I am equally distant from my allies and on the other side of the enemy team. As soon as you cast Poison Touch Shadow Wave, your location has been broadcasted to everyone on the map. So the enemy team is going to send people looking for you. It's time to move to a new spot. I try to juke him in the trees here. Unfortunately, there's a creep wave coming that kind of reveals my position, and I'm pretty sure I die here. So not only did Darkseer come looking for me, Ricky came looking for me. So I think a better spot would have been to blink up on this high ground near my team. I thought the fight was going to continue on the high ground, so I went onto the low ground. And unfortunately, that was a mistake on my part. So at this point, I've basically said I'm pretty much dead. And I just cast my vessel on him and just do as much damage as I can before I'm dead. And you see how quickly I died there. As soon as I stand in the wrong spot, I die within half a second. And there's really nothing I can do about it. If I had bought Ghost Scepter, he would have bought Nullifier by now. And so it's really important that positioning is perfect. I hope I gave you guys a little bit of a understanding of what goes into team fights, what you want to consider when team fighting, and where you want to try and position yourself, keeping in mind what kind of allies you have and what kind of enemies you have. And that's all I got for you guys today. Good luck on your next games as Dazzle.